don't post much here, and honestly, I debated even sharing this because I still feel sick when I think about it. But I haven't slept in 2 nights, and I keep waking up in a cold sweat thinking I'm still in that car. So maybe writing it down will help me get rid of this feeling. This happened last Friday night. I live in a decently sized city, not some rural nowhere, but also not LA or anything. I'm a grad student, and after a grueling week of finals, some classmates invited me to unwind with drinks at this bar a few blocks from campus. I wasn't planning to get drunk, just a few drinks to take the edge off. But you know how that goes. 1 drink becomes 2, becomes shots, and by midnight, I knew I wasn't in any shape to walk home, much less drive, not that I had my car. So I did what I've done 100 times before. I ordered an Uber. My phone said the driver's name was Derek, and he drove a dark gray Toyota Camry. License plate 6YH something something. I wasn't paying that much attention, just enough to match the general car model and color, you know? I stepped outside the bar while my friends were still inside doing karaoke. The car pulled up almost instantly, which surprised me. I didn't even see it marked as arriving on the app. But it was dark gray, a Camry. A guy with a short beard and ball cap sat behind the wheel. He gave me a small wave and what I thought was a smile. The headlights were dimmed, and the interior lights didn't come on when I opened the back door, which should have been the first red flag. Still, I got in, and the second I shut the door behind me, something felt wrong. It's hard to describe. You know that feeling when a room is too quiet? Like the air itself is holding its breath? It was like that. The car smelled, not like body odor or smoke or anything typical, but sour, like rotting fruit and something chemical underneath. The windows were tinted almost completely black in the back, which I hadn't noticed from the outside. "Hi," I said, trying to sound polite, but feeling uneasy already. "You're Derek, right?" The guy didn't answer at first. He just pulled away from the curb slowly. "Yup," he said a few seconds later. That's all. No greeting. No confirmation of my name, which most Uber drivers do. No check of the destination. I looked at my phone to double check the app, but it had frozen. The trip wasn't showing. No driver info. No route. Just the loading spinner. I frowned and tried to close and reopen it, but it just kept buffering. "I think the app's acting up," I said, mostly to myself. "Can I confirm where I'm headed, just to make sure?" He cut me off by turning on the radio, loudly. It was static at first, then this weird talk show like one of those fringe conspiracy theory stations. Some guy was ranting about meat puppets and harvesting through the veil. I tried to speak over it. "Sorry, can you turn that down a bit?" Nothing. I raised my voice. "Excuse me?" He finally turned it down, a little, and said, without turning his head, "No talking." Just that. No talking. I froze. Something cold crawled down my spine. I started to glance toward the window and realized I hadn't really looked around yet. We weren't on the main road anymore. He'd taken a turn somewhere, and now we were on a narrow, empty residential street. No lights, no people, no businesses, just dark trees lining both sides. "Hey, I think we're going the wrong way," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Can you pull over for a sec?" He didn't answer. He just kept driving, both hands on the wheel. I tried the door handle. There was nothing there. No handle, just a smooth plastic panel. I looked at the other door. Same thing. No handles, no buttons, no unlock switch. My heart started pounding. I felt trapped, like an animal. I reached forward to tap his shoulder. "What the hell is going on?" He smiled. That's what still haunts me. He looked at me in the rearview mirror, not turning his head, not saying a word. Just looked directly into my eyes and gave me this wide, slow, unnatural smile. His teeth were off. Too many? Too sharp? I don't even know, but they didn't look right in his mouth. It wasn't a smile you give another human being. It was something else. Something that wanted me afraid. "Let me out of the car," I said, louder this time. "I'm calling the cops." My phone was still frozen. No signal. No Wi-Fi. No data. It wouldn't even close the app. I slammed my hand against the window, screaming for help. We passed a small house with a porch light on, but the windows were dark. No movement. Then woods again. I reached over the seat, trying to grab the wheel or gear shift, anything to make him stop, and he slammed on the brakes. I flew forward, smashing into the center console. Pain exploded through my chest. He turned around. His eyes were wrong. No whites, just a glassy yellowish film, like cataracts or milk. "You touch me again, and I'll take your tongue," he said. calmly, like it was just a fact. Then he started driving again. I wanted to scream, to fight, to do something, but I couldn't think. My body wouldn't move right. I was shaking so hard I could barely keep upright. I reached under the seat, praying for some kind of latch or escape handle, but it was bolted to the floor. The child locks were on, the doors were sealed, and the worst part? We were going downhill now, into what looked like a tunnel or underpass. No signs, no other cars, just concrete and shadows. That's when I noticed the stains. On the floor, on the seats, brownish red, some dark, some crusted over. The car smelled worse now, like something had died in it weeks ago and no one had cleaned it properly. I looked up at the ceiling, and there were scratches, deep ones, like someone had tried to claw their way out. I started sobbing. I didn't care how pathetic I sounded. I just kept saying, "Please, please let me out. I won't tell anyone. Just let me go." He didn't even acknowledge me, just kept driving, calm and steady, humming under his breath. A tuneless melody I didn't recognize, but something about it made my skin crawl. Then, by some miracle, my phone buzzed. Signal. 1 bar. I opened the emergency call screen and dialed 911. The ringtone felt like it took forever. 911, what's your emergency? I whispered. I'm in a car. I don't know where. I think I'm being kidnapped. I got in what I thought was an Uber, but the driver slammed the radio volume up again. Deafening static. I clutched the phone to my ear, trying to shout over it. Dark gray Camry, no handles inside. Please, he's taking me somewhere. He yanked the wheel suddenly, and I was thrown against the door. We were off the road completely now, bumping along what felt like a dirt trail. The dispatcher kept asking questions, but I couldn't hear. I just screamed, "Track my phone!" over and over. Then he reached back, fast, and snatched the phone from my hand. Threw it out the window. That's when I saw it. Up ahead was this, shack, or maybe a garage, wooden, old, no windows. He was driving straight toward it. I did the only thing I could think of. I climbed over the back seat, kicking and clawing. I reached the trunk area, which was sealed from the inside. I started pounding, screaming, kicking, anything. I found a tire iron under a flap and started bashing the taillight from the inside. And finally, the plastic cracked. A hole. I shoved my arm through and started waving like crazy. And I screamed. I screamed until my throat bled. That's when I heard it. A horn. A car horn. Behind us, another vehicle. Headlights. The Camry swerved hard and I hit my head. I think I blacked out for a second. When I came to, the car had stopped. I heard doors slamming, voices shouting. I kicked the trunk door again and again until it finally popped open. Light flooded in. Real light. A flashlight. A man's voice yelling, "Ma'am, are you okay?" 2 hikers, a couple in their late 30s, had seen the car take the dirt path off the road while driving to a nearby campsite. They said it looked suspicious, especially when they saw someone waving from the broken taillight. The man, Derek, or whatever his name was, ran. The police found his car abandoned miles away. Still haven't caught him. But here's the worst part. When they pulled up the license plate, it wasn't registered to anyone. No match in the system. Not stolen. Not fake. Just nothing. The car itself had been gutted and rebuilt. No VIN number, no registration, nothing traceable. Like it had been assembled piece by piece. Uber had no record of my ride. My app had never connected to a driver. And my phone, they found it smashed on the trail. The last thing on it was a single screenshot of the rearview mirror, that smile. It was never supposed to be there, like someone had edited it in, stretched, wider, wrong. I haven't ridden in an Uber since. I don't think I ever will again. And sometimes, when I'm falling asleep, I hear that humming in my head. Low, off key, like he's still out there, driving, waiting. Let me start by saying I'm not new to driving Uber. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, mostly as a side hustle to keep bills paid while I freelance during the day. I've had drunks puke in the back seat. I've had couples scream at each other mid-ride. One guy even tried to light up a joint without asking. But nothing, and I mean nothing, shook me like what happened last Thursday. And the worst part? It was quiet. No high-speed chase, no fight, no blood. Nothing anyone would film for TikTok. It was just one guy, one conversation, and a very wrong turn off a very empty road. If you drive Uber or Lyft, listen to me carefully. Trust your gut. Even if the app says the ride is 5 stars and the fare looks decent, if something feels off, cancel the trip. It's not worth finding out the hard way. I sure did. It started around 10:40 p.m. I just dropped off a chatty group of college kids near a bowling alley and was about to head home. It was a cold night, unusually foggy for this time of year. One of those nights where everything feels still, but not in a peaceful way. More like the world is holding its breath. Then I got the ping. Pickup, South Ashmore Avenue. Not the best part of town, but not the worst either. Ride was about 17 minutes, headed to an address outside the city limits, a rural property, but not too far. The profile name just said J, with no photo. I almost skipped it, but the surge pricing had just kicked in, and I figured, screw it. One last trip, then home. I pulled up to the pickup spot, which was outside a rundown gas station that had clearly been closed for years. All the pumps were gone, windows boarded up. Only light came from the corner street lamp flickering like it was trying to decide whether to give up. The guy was already waiting. He stood alone near the building, leaning against the wall. Dirty black hoodie, hood up, black jeans. He was skinny, maybe early 20s, pale, and kind of hunched like he was trying to disappear into himself. I rolled down the passenger window halfway and called out, "You Jay?" He nodded once, then walked around the back of the car and got in behind me without a word. No greeting, no questions, just sat there, dead silent. I started the trip and said we're headed to, Route 78, near Jefferson Road? He didn't answer right away. I glanced in the mirror and saw he was looking straight ahead, not even at his phone, just staring through the windshield like he was trying to burn a hole in the glass. "Yeah," he said finally, voice quiet, raspy. So I drove. For the first few minutes it was dead silent, just the tires on pavement and the soft rattle of the heater. I tried some casual conversation, like I usually do to feel out the vibe. "Cold night. You heading out to a friend's place or something?" He didn't say anything, just scratched his wrist absently and kept staring. After another few miles, he finally spoke up. "You ever pick up anyone dangerous?" The question threw me off. Sometimes drunk people get rowdy," I said with a nervous chuckle. "Nothing too bad, though." He nodded slowly, still not looking at me. "What would you do if someone pulled a knife on you?" he asked. I glanced in the mirror again. He wasn't smiling, wasn't joking, just sitting there, voice flat, like he was asking about the weather. "Probably piss myself," I tried to joke, but he didn't react. My fingers tightened around the wheel. "Why? You thinking of trying?" That made him laugh, a short, dry sound that didn't reach his eyes. It sounded more like a cough. "No, just wondering." Another long silence. He kept fidgeting, bouncing his leg, tapping his fingers against the window. Every so often, he'd mutter something under his breath I couldn't make out. I turned the radio on low, just to fill the air. He turned it off almost immediately. "Too much noise," he muttered. At this point, we were well past the edge of town, driving through a wooded area with no streetlights. My GPS showed we had about 5 minutes to go. The road was narrowing, trees leaning in from both sides like they were eavesdropping. Then he asked the next question. "Have you ever killed anyone?" I didn't respond. Because what the hell do you say to that? "I haven't," he said, as if clarifying. "Not yet." That's when I realized my hands were sweating. The heater wasn't even on. I turned into the gravel path indicated by the GPS, a narrow, rutted driveway that led toward a property in the woods. The listed destination was up ahead, some kind of barn house, half collapsed, with a rusted truck sitting out front. No lights, no movement. I slowed down. "This is the place?" I asked. He didn't answer, just stared out at the building like he was deciding something. Then, and this chilled me to my core, I watched him cancel the ride on his phone. I got the notification immediately. "Your passenger has canceled the trip." We were just sitting there, on a dirt road, next to an abandoned barn in the middle of nowhere. No lights, no houses nearby, no reason for anyone to be here. I turned slightly in my seat, trying to stay calm. "Hey, looks like the ride got canceled?" He nodded. "Yeah." Long pause. "You still need a ride back to town?" Another pause. He leaned forward. "No," he said. "I need you to get out." My blood ran cold. "Sorry?" "Get out of the car." He was calm, too calm. I stared ahead. My heart felt like it was about to burst through my ribs. Then I heard it, the click of a seatbelt unbuckling, the shift of weight as he leaned closer. I didn't wait for him to move again. I threw the car into drive and gunned it. Gravel flew behind us as I tore back down the road, heart pounding, hands white-knuckled on the wheel. In the rearview mirror, I saw him still standing in the road, just watching. Not running, not yelling, just watching me leave. I drove for 15 straight minutes before pulling over in a gas station parking lot under bright lights. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely dial 911. The cops came, took my statement, drove out to the barn. It was empty. No squatters, no guy in a hoodie. Just an old, rotting structure full of broken tools, debris, and what they called questionable stains. They didn't find him. But they did find something else. A shallow pit dug behind the barn, maybe 3 feet deep. Still fresh, still soft. No animals, just waiting. I didn't think something like this could happen to me. I've taken hundreds of Uber rides, at night, during the day, in big cities, small towns, you name it. I've sat through awkward silence, drunk groups of strangers, and drivers who felt way too comfortable oversharing. I've been hit on, sure. Had to politely dodge questions like, "So you single?" Or, "You got a man waiting for you at home?" That comes with being a woman, unfortunately. We learn to navigate it. But this wasn't just another creepy driver. This was different. I've gone back and forth about sharing this because I honestly didn't want to relive it. But I can't stop thinking about how close I came to something much worse. I keep wondering if someone else out there needs to read this. If maybe this could stop someone else from ignoring their gut the way I did. This happened 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't slept properly since. It started after a concert. I had just seen one of my favorite indie bands play at a small venue about 25 minutes from my apartment. My friend Christy was supposed to come with me, but she bailed last minute, so I went alone. I didn't mind. I kind of like doing things solo sometimes. I had a couple drinks, got lost in the music, and by the time it ended, it was a little after 11 p.m. I requested an Uber the way I always do, standing near the front entrance under the lights, near a few other lingering people. Driver's name, Rick. Toyota Corolla, silver, 4.9 stars. License plate matched when he pulled up. The moment I got in the car, something felt off. He was older than his profile photo, probably mid to late 40s, with thinning hair and that kind of smile that feels pasted on. Too wide, too eager. He turned around as I buckled up, holding eye contact way too long. "Hey there," he said. "You look like you had a fun night." I smiled politely. "Yeah, concert. Bet all the guys were checking you out in that outfit." He said it like a compliment, but there was this undertone, something gross simmering just below his words. I shifted uncomfortably. Guess I wouldn't know. He laughed, a wet, wheezy kind of laugh, and started driving. For the first few minutes, I focused on my phone, pretending to text. That usually signals I'm not interested in chatting, but Rick didn't care. "You always go out alone?" he asked. I ignored the question and just said, "Just heading home." "You're brave," he said. "A pretty girl like you all by herself. Makes me wonder what kind of trouble you could get into." I didn't respond. The light changed. He kept glancing at me through the rearview mirror. His eyes didn't look at my face either. They kept darting downward. I wanted to tell him to cut it out, but I didn't want to make things worse. Sometimes drawing attention to it just makes guys double down. He kept talking. "You know, if you were my girlfriend, I wouldn't let you out dressed like that. Not without me to protect you." I said nothing. He leaned a little to the side, still watching me. "You got a boyfriend, sweetheart?" "Yeah," I lied quickly. "Waiting for me at home." He laughed again. "Lucky guy. Must be nervous with you out here like this. You never know what kind of creeps are driving around at night." There was a weird emphasis on creeps. I checked the route on the app. We were going the right direction. My apartment was about 8 minutes away now. I thought about ending the ride early and walking the rest of the way, but I didn't want to get out on some random street alone. Then he said something that chilled me. "I like girls like you. Real, innocent looking. I bet you taste sweet." I froze. That wasn't flirting. That wasn't awkward banter. That was something darker. Something calculated. I stared at the back of his head, and for the first time, I seriously debated dialing 911, but I didn't want to panic. We were almost there. He kept going. You ever had a man pull over on a drive and just not let you out? I gripped the door handle without thinking. My stomach flipped. Only takes one wrong turn, he said softly, almost like he was talking to himself. We passed a red light and I saw the corner of my street coming up. Right here, I said quickly. You can stop right here. I'm good. He didn't respond. The car kept going, slow, like he was considering something. Rick, stop the car, I said, more forcefully. He finally pulled over, not at my place, but a little down the block. I jumped out before the car fully stopped, slammed the door and speed walked to my building, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear. I didn't look back. I just went inside, locked every lock on the door, and sat down on the floor shaking. I reported him on the app, filed a complaint, wrote up the details, 1 star, inappropriate behavior and disturbing comments. I even flagged it as safety concern. Uber sent back a canned response about how they take all feedback seriously and would look into it. I blocked his number, just in case, though he never actually had it. At least he shouldn't have. I showered, triple-checked my windows, and crawled into bed still feeling gross. That should have been the end of it. It was around 2:17 a.m. when I heard the knock at my door. Not a friendly knock, not even an annoyed neighbor knock. It was hard, rhythmic, like whoever was out there had no intention of leaving until I answered. I froze. The only light in the room was from my phone charging next to the bed. I grabbed it and crept toward the door, heart pounding. Another knock, 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. Then a voice. Police! Open up! I blinked, confused. Police! We need to speak with you, ma'am. The voice was too familiar. It was Rick, trying to sound official, trying to mimic authority, but I knew that rasp, that slightly nasal edge. It was him. No doubt in my mind. I didn't say a word, just backed away from the door slowly. Another knock, louder this time. Open up, ma'am. We received a call from this address. We need to check the premises. I grabbed my phone and quietly dialed 911. The dispatcher answered, and I whispered, "Someone's at my door pretending to be a cop. I think he's my Uber driver from earlier." "Can you see him?" she asked. I peeked through the peephole. He wasn't wearing a uniform, just a black hoodie and jeans, no badge, no vest, nothing identifying him as police. "He's not in uniform," I said. "He's just knocking hard, saying he's a cop." "Do not open the door," she said firmly. "We're dispatching officers now. Stay on the line with me." I backed further into my apartment, locked myself in the bathroom, and sat on the floor with my phone clutched in both hands. Outside, he kept knocking. Then, silence. I strained my ears, heart hammering. After a minute or two, I heard footsteps fading away. Then a car engine. Then nothing. The dispatcher stayed with me until the real police showed up about 10 minutes later. They checked the area. No sign of him. They took my statement, looked at the report I'd filed with Uber, and confirmed that the man had no business being there, especially not claiming to be a cop. They never found him. I moved out 2 days later. I'm not kidding. I packed everything I owned and stayed with Christy until I could find a new apartment. I changed my number, wiped my social media, locked down everything I could. Uber followed up later saying they'd permanently deactivated the driver's account. That's it. No other information, no explanation of how he found my address, no reassurance, just deactivated. But here's the thing that eats at me the most. I never told him where I lived. The app masks rider addresses. He dropped me off down the block, and I never looked him up, never gave my name. So how did he know? How did he know exactly which door to knock on? And what if I had opened it? What if I'd been too tired or disoriented and just believed the voice saying police? I don't use Uber anymore. I don't go out alone at night anymore. And I don't think I ever will again.